out of the Milwaukee region. Joe Moser, who finished second yesterday, will start third in car 6 out of the Detroit region. John Brocky was a DNF yesterday, but is a 3-time E-Production National Champ. He'll start second in the number 89 out of Land O'Lakes. And your pole sitter and winner of yesterday's E-Production race, the number 176, Jim Daniels, he races out of the Mid-South region. And the field is in the front straightaway. The green flag flies. Daniels gets a jump. John Brackey right there with him, as is Joe Moser in that orange Honda Prelude. Daniels and Brackey both in Miatas as they head down toward turn number 1. All of the classes, with the exception of STL, are in this first wave. And they're down into turn number 1, and it looks like Daniels was able to sweep into the lead. As they exit turn 1, head down over the Briggs & Stratton Tunnel, side-by-side racing down into turn 3. It looks like Daniels will take the advantage over Joe Moser. Green flag for the second wave for the STL competitors. Yesterday's winner, Jim Drago, will be on the pole. Michael Cooper and Lucas Catania right there with him as they roll down toward turn number 1 themselves. And it is Drago sweeping into the lead. As they head through turn number 1 and down into turn 3, we watch the first wave come down into turn number 5. And it is Daniels coming under pressure from Joe Moser. But Daniels able to maintain the lead. Moser was right there with him in the early stages yesterday, but eventually faded as Daniels was able to run away with it. We'll see if John Brocky, who is back in the field today after a DNF yesterday, can be a factor on the podium for the E-Production crown. We understand 4 Black is rolling down the lane. That's Mike Nant, one of the F-Production drivers. He took the shortcut down into turn 5. Jim Drago continues to lead the second wave of STL cars through turn 5 as he climbs the hill toward turn 6. Daniels out in front of Moser as they are stretching their advantage over the rest of the pack. John Brocky coming under a challenge from James Samaras for the final step on the podium. All that in E-Production at the front of the first wave. Brocky able to hang on to that spot, but Samaras hanging right in there with him as they go through the kink and head toward Canada Corner. Daniels and Moser, the 2 combatants at the very front of the field as they go through Canada Corner, pretty much nose to tail. Again, Joe Moser in that front-wheel drive Prelude, Daniels in the rear-wheel drive Miata. Different handling characteristics, and Moser's Prelude with lots of straight line speed, but probably not quite as good in the corners as that Miata. Up the hill they come to complete race lap number 1. It is Daniels, then Moser. Waiting for the third-place runner, John Brocky has managed to extract himself from James Samaras, so he takes the 3rd spot. Then Samaras, right behind him, Steve Simzek and Lance Lohman, all of those from E-Production. Gary Gist moves up to 7th, is the E-Production. Takes the top 7 spots. Christopher Bovis, the leader in GT Light, in 8th position. Ken Kennard, the F-Production leader, in 9th.
We saw Moser in that Prelude yesterday, John, really be able to hang with Daniels for quite some time until about 3 laps to go, and then the front wheel drive on that car started to take that rubber off the left front and it started to slow down. He lost a lot of momentum because he abused his tires. So does Moser, kind of hold back a little bit today and then try to make the run at the end, or if he goes full out, and it looks like he tried to go to the outside of Daniels in turn 5.
Yeah, Moser tried the move again, but again, this is a 3-lap longer race than he had yesterday. If he runs the tires off of it too early, he will have nothing for Jim Daniels in the later stages of this race. They're on their way up the hill toward turn 6. Meanwhile, in the STL battle, they are well back in the order. Jim Drago came across the line in front of Rich Walke and Lucas Catania as your top 3 in STL.
Drago, no surprise that he's going fast. He had quite the run yesterday. Certainly STL quite a bit slower as far as lap time potential here by about 10 seconds a lap slower, 10 to 12 laps a second slower in the STL. So traffic may play into Daniels being a little bit longer race. We didn't see traffic yesterday too much, but with the longer race today, certainly could see Daniels and Moser get into traffic, and that's, I think, what Moser is looking forward to.
Yeah, absolutely right. So here we go as they are in Kettle Bottoms heading down toward Canada Corner at the lead of the race. And Daniels still with the advantage. The orange Prelude of Moser trying to keep up. It's about a 3-car length gap, and then a bigger gap back to John Brocky in that red Miata as he comes through Canada now and makes his way toward the Billy Mitchell Bend. He fell out very early yesterday with a mechanical problem. Brocky should be a factor because he's a 3-time national champion in this E-production class. Up the hill come our overall leaders to complete race lap number 2, and it is still the Robin's Egg Blue number 176 of Jim Daniels at the front as he crosses the stripe to complete the second racing lap. John Brocky, James Samara, Steve Simzek, Lance Lohman come by. The top 6 just the same as they were a lap ago. Christopher Bovis, the GT Light leader, has moved up, and he's brought Ken Kennard, the F production leader, with him. So the leaders of those 2 classes running 7th and 8th overall right now. Bob Clark is 2nd in GT Light. Gerald Lamb 2nd in F production. Michael Froh 3rd in F production. Jim Drago all the way up to 23rd position overall as the STL leader. Rich Walke 2 positions behind him in the 61 car, running 2nd in Super Touring Light. Lead battle is in the carousel turn right now as Jim Daniels begins to inch away from Joe Moser. Perhaps Moser has miscalculated his situation and Daniels is beginning to get away from him. They work their way through the kink. There's John Brocky, a lonely 3rd spot. And then a big gap back to James Samaras, who's in front of a pretty tightly backed group of cars. Samaras running 4th right now in E-Prod, with Steve Simzek right behind him, and then Lance Lohman. Christopher Bovis, the GT Light leader, he's the defending national champion in the class, up to 7th a lap ago. He may be trying to get a little higher up the order.
Daniels did go purple that last lap complete, a 2:31.21 last time by the stripe. So let's see what kind of lap times they're putting down here as they have some clean racetrack for the moment. But again, lap traffic can't play a factor into these longer endurance races, the 13 laps. 3 extra laps doesn't sound like a lot, but it certainly is. He goes purple again at 2:30.556 for Jim Daniels in that Miata.
As he continues to stretch the advantage over Joe Moser. Moser was able to hang on for a 2nd place finish yesterday, but John Brocky did not take the finish. So we'll see if Brocky can perhaps run down Joe Moser. At the moment, he is running the same pace as the leader, and Moser is running about 2 seconds slower. So watch for the red 89 of John Brocky to try to overhaul Joe Moser and take that 2nd step on the podium. Lance Lohman works his way around Steve Simzek to take over 5th position. Ken Kennard, the F production leader, has passed Christopher Bovis, the GT Light leader. 2nd in F-Prod is Gerald Lamb in the 42 car. 3rd in F-Prod all the way down to Michael Froh. He's running 14th overall. Jim Drago, the Super Touring Light leader, running 23rd overall right now. Drago just now across the stripe. He's worked his way all the way up to 17th on that last lap. So Jim Drago is really flying. Rich Walke in the 61, his closest pursuer. Production, William Trainer, the pole sitter, leads yesterday's winner, Greg Galper, but only by the slimmest of margins. It's about 0.3 of a second, 1st to 2nd. So that battle for H production is a good one as well. 7 for Trainer, 15 for Galper. Tony Maki in the number 96 car has retired as he pulled to a stop just at the exit of the pit lane. So he's headed back to the paddock. Tony Maki out of the race. Here comes Daniels through turn number 14 as he is really stretching his advantage over Joe Moser now. And Moser needs to keep his eyes in the mirrors because John Brackey is coming. The blue Miata of Jim Daniels in command today, as he was yesterday, as he crosses to complete the 4th racing lap. 9 to go. Joe Moser in second, but here comes John Brackey in that red Miata, number 89. Ken Kennard still leads F production. He's running 7th overall. Christopher Bovis still leading GT Light, running 8th overall. Here comes Gerald Lamb as he comes by in the 42 car. Jamie Blust in the E production number 14 just behind him. Lamb running 2nd in F Prod. 3rd in F Prod, Michael Froh just now comes by the start finish line. Jim Drago continues his march toward the front, up to 16th now, with a big lead in Super Touring Light. Dieter Greisinger in F-Prod between he and Rich Walke, the 2nd place Super Touring Light runner. Remember, he started in the 2nd wave and has already caught the back of the 1st wave and is up into 16th position. William Trainer leading Greg Galper in H-Prod. The interval between those two, about 0.2 of a second. That's 23rd and 24th overall.
John Brackey's got the gap down to 1.7 seconds behind Moser, and Moser keeps drifting back off of Jim Daniels. Jim Daniels kind of checking out and gone right now out in the front of this field, but Brackey trying to make another step up out of the podium. Since he didn't get a step yesterday, he wants the bottom 2 here for himself. So Brackey trying to chase down Joe Moser now. The Miata trying to chase down that Honda Prelude.
Jim Daniels exits Canada corner all by himself, and Brackey's gotten it done in the braking area for Canada as he sweeps by Joe Moser through turn number 12. Let's see if he can hold him off as they head up the hill. That Prelude has got plenty of straight line speed, so Brackey's going to need a bit of an advantage, or Moser will be able to blow by him on the front straightaway. They're nose to tail as they come into turn 14. Brackey with the advantage up to 2nd in E-Prod. Daniels already by start finish to complete race lap number 5. 8 to go. And there they are. And here comes Joe Moser in that Prelude. Lots of straight line speed as he pulls alongside and by John Brackey. We'll see. It'll be a braking duel down into turn number 1. The Miata a little handier most likely. Moser saws off the nose of that Miata as he takes the line through turn number 1. They come down to turn 3. Brackey tries to challenge once again. And this time Brackey has the advantage out of turn number 3. Moser will have another good straight run on turn 5 down to on the way down to turn 5, so he could possibly repay the favor, but I'm afraid it's just a matter of time before Brackey's superior handling is able to allow him to inch away.
You know very well Brackey's going to use the brakes on that Miata and going to take away the inside line, so Moser's going to have to do it the hard way around the outside. They are side by side on the turn 5, and Moser is now in 2nd spot. Moser dove to the inside and was able to block Brackey, and Moser back to the 2nd spot.
They've got some slower traffic in front of them, which will play a factor as the leaders are beginning to work their way through the back of this field. Jim Drago comes by. He has worked his way up to 14th position now, as he is right behind the 3rd place runner in F production, Michael Froh. Jim Daniels already through turn 8 and on his way to the carousel, out of the carousel and toward the kink. And right at the moment, Joe Moser holding off John Brackey as they come toward the kink. But last lap, Brackey was able to get around Moser in the braking area for Canada corner. Let's see if that's a replay here coming up on this lap. Working race lap number 6. be 7 to go next time by as we approach half distance. Side by side through turn 12, and again, it looks like Brocky got the advantage as he was able to muscle his way through as they head up toward the Bill Mitchell Bend and through Thunder Valley. We'll check to see as they come back into our view at the bottom of the hill if Brocky is able to hold off Joe Moser. There's a lapped car in between them, and that is Brocky. I don't see Moser. Moser is well back, so I think Moser might have dropped a wheel off as he was going fender to fender with John Brocky at the exit of Canada Corner. And Moser has fallen well off the chase. So it looks like the challenge. In fact, Moser's headed for the pits. He's headed for the pits. He must have an issue. So our second place car, former second place car, headed into the pit lane.
Moser did go a little wide in turn 12 across the rumble strips. Brocky kind of shut the door and pushed him wide. And so Moser, with the unfortunate break, will head to pit lane, and his run for the podium is over.
He was able to finish second yesterday, but it looks like that is not going to be the case today.